And we're just watching, like, yeah. And like this woman leans over and she taps me. She's like, "Hey, can you see Jake over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's good." And she's like, "Okay, good. Just making sure. Just making sure. Like, he's not dead. Don't worry. Your husband's fine." Welcome back to the Storymoders podcast, everybody. My name is Robert. Mike's not here because his car died, but we are joined today by Asa GreenRiver. Hi, Asa.
Hey, I'm here. Hey,
You are
buddy.
here.
Sorry about your car.
Yeah, Mike. I we were texting each other because I'm a car guy too. So he was telling me, thermostat and overheating, liquids. So I know what's going on.
Childhood. Yeah.
I just don't want to bore everybody else with the car details.
It's not a car podcast.
Even though a lot of people seem to think it is, because when you say the podcast name out loud, Storymoders, I can kind of see how they get confused.
I get it now. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So Asa, before we jump into things, let's introduce yourself to our fine watchers / listeners, and just give us a little bit about yourself.
All right, elevator pitch. Here we go. I have never called myself this before. I have the worst time when I have to do things like this, try to describe, who I am, like what I do, because the list is very long. And it's not like, oh, I'm just like this big important person. It's just because I'm severely ADHD and I can never say no, and I just love to do so much that I burn myself out. So I do a lot in general, but a lot in games. I do game coverage myself. Every once in a while when I don't have like a busted ass PC. Sorry, can we cuss on this? Is that
Fucking come on, man.
cool? I knew it. Yeah, so I got a busted ass PC. So my personal content has been pretty slow, but in lieu of that, I've kind of joined as a cohort on a few different shows. Got to shout out Gamerheads podcast. I've been working with them, doing some content with them. They've been fantastic. But I also do consultation on video games. I've worked on a handful of games. I worked on Weird West and a few others, and I do some voice acting, and then marketing, and that's what I do like in my main 9 to 5. I'm a marketing professional, but I did a lot in games as well. And then I'm making a game, so I'm a game developer on top of that, and I think that kind of covers everything. And then I just fucking love video games.
Yeah.
I like literally from the very beginning with Legend of Zelda and the NES, my time on this earth, I have not ever wanted to put down a controller. So
The fact that you started with Legend of Zelda and you still like gaming is a shock,
yeah,
considering how
yeah.
awful that game and series is. So it's fine though.
Ignore the
We find better things.
entire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Legend of Zelda, not my jam. But I will play it if we get to 500 subs on our YouTube channel by the end of the year.
Ooh.
I'm gonna, it's if we get to 500, which we're pretty far away, so I think I'm safe. I'm gonna play Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild live on Twitch, like from not in one sitting, but like from front to back. Do everything.
Yeah.
I'm not getting all the fucking Korok seeds. I know enough about the game to not put myself through
Yeah.
that shit. Okay. But yeah, if we get to 500 subs on our YouTube by the end of 2025, I will stream myself playing that. I think most reviews call it a piece of shit. I don't know. I haven't read them.
Mhm.
I'm just assuming.
0 out of 10 everywhere.
Yeah, 0 out of 10. Yeah. Breath of the Wild, more like Breath of the game sucks. I'm not good with puns. But yeah, before we get into the game that you are that we're going to talk about today, the game that you're actually developing. Once again,
Yes.
not to bury the lead, BattleVersus. You may have seen it if you watched the 6-1 Indie showcase. There's the first kind of reveal for it and everything, and there's a Kickstarter up. We're going to talk about that here in a bit, but just want to get to know you just a little bit, Asa. I have a couple questions that I'm trying to get into the habit of asking everyone that we have on the podcast. So I think you're going to be number 2 or maybe 3. So What's your first game
two.
that you remember playing? I think you've already answered that. And what's your favorite game of all time?
Oh, that's like my least favorite question in the world.
I know it is. No
Uh,
one likes that question.
no, because I love
Hmm.
so many games for so many reasons. Um, I can't like. Okay, so first game was Legend of Zelda. My knee jerk is always to say that Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is my favorite game of all time, and that pretty much stands. But I
That's
can't
the
say Zelda
cartoon one.
twice. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you could call it that. I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It is. It is. It was one that introduced Toon Link.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. GameCube one.
if I, yeah, the GameCube
Okay.
one. I
Okay.
have to, but I can't go with that one because it's just like the way my brain works. So I always have to do like a quick gander of like, what have I put on my shelves that I just really fucking love? Um, I'm
I'm
gonna go
trying to
with.
point things out back there. I see Ghost. I see the
Yeah,
Borderlands
there's.
face thingy.
I do love those games. I
Yeah.
think I might go with Splinter Cell.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um,
Oh, is that what that's
Specifically,
okay? Yeah.
Sam Fisher's goggles right there. I've
Yeah.
never taken them out of the box because I'm just that sicko. Um, but specifically, I'm gonna go Chaos Theory today. I do
Chaos
think
Theory. Okay.
yeah, I think that's the best one. I love all of them for their own reasons. Even the portable one on the PSP, which I
Yeah.
do rock with like quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. So you heard it here. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is his favorite game of all time, and it will never change. Has never changed. Will never change. And if you ever hear him say anything else,
Yeah,
he's lying. Okay.
I am a bold-faced liar.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you been gaming on recently?
Oh, well, you know what? I can talk about now. I've been playing FBC Firebreak.
Yeah.
That's been a ton of fun. I'm really excited for more people to play it, for it to not be like an embargoed situation anymore.
I think it's it's
And it
is out
is
today as we're
it's out
recording
today.
this. Right. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it's by the time you're listening to it, it definitely won't be. But as we're recording it, yes, it's the
Yeah.
embargo is up this morning. That's been a ton of fun. I also have been playing way too much Night Rain with randos. Um, really, really enjoying that. I think it's a great fresh take. And then like a bunch of like my usuals. I'm sorry if you see me kind of moving around. I
No worries.
just like to clean things, so I'm just like cleaning dust off my desk because I'm not kidding. I can't like sit still. Um, but yeah, so Night Rain, and then I love Star Trek, and I decided for some reason to make a new character in Star Trek Online. So I made a Klingon character. I've been rocking with that. So if you play Star Trek Online, hit me up. Like
Yeah.
let's go take on the galaxy. Join my Klingon team.
Yeah. And if you make a Klingon character, just remember to base it off of the Rock in that one episode of The Next Generation. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Which was just the
Oh
Rock with a Klingon
man.
forehead. You know. And
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it
think his
was.
eyebrow was just always up. I think that was part of the
It was like permanently up.
hmm hmm
That's when it was like in his contract that he
Yeah.
had to do the eyebrow everywhere he went.
God, remember
I
those first couple
forgot
movies that
that.
he did? That was just it's just The Rock in a movie. It's The
Yeah,
Rock
like
as the Scorpion
rundown.
King, like The Rock as
Yeah,
the guy in Rundown. You know.
yeah.
And then he got his
Oh my
big break
gosh.
to do his acting chops in The Tooth Fairy. So
Hey, listen, I didn't even think Tooth Fairy was that bad.
yeah, but Tooth Fairy
It
2.
wasn't as bad as the pacifier. Is
Oh
there a second
shit!
one?
Oh my god. Yeah, there is. The Rock's not in it. I can tell you that much.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
yeah. Larry the Cable Guy. Tooth Fairy
Oh,
2.
that's I do remember that.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh!
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Going back.
We're gonna cut to that movie right now. The entire thing. It's gonna be like a
Then
four-hour
your
podcast.
guest
It's
next
just gonna be
week.
that movie. Yeah.
That's that movie. And then Dwayne's gonna come on, and you're gonna just like recap what it was like
Yeah.
shooting that movie, and
Yeah.
his eyebrows gonna be up the whole time.
But we're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk to him about the Tooth Fairy 2, and he's gonna be like, "I told you multiple times I wasn't on that one." Be like, "Yeah, but let's talk about the story and the underlying subtext of commercialism and capitalism." Come on, Dwayne, let's do this. Yeah, he'd be great to talk about that. He makes a shitload of money. So, Oh man, I've got my beer here, and there's no Mike. And usually I ask Mike what he's been playing. I think it's just been a lot of Cyberpunk, a bit of Clair Obscur. He was doing BattleTech the other day. Clair Obscur, game of the year.
Yeah,
Throwing it out there right now. Yep.
I did the prologue and have not jumped back in.
Did the prologue, you got too
Not
sad
because I did.
and you couldn't do it. I get it. I understand.
Well, it really was like I did the prologue and then I went to PAX East, and then there's something about starting a game, then going somewhere, and then when you come back, you're just like not in the same. Like same thing happened last year with Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
I started playing Helldivers 2, went to PAX East, came back, just uninstalled it. I was like, I can't keep. I'm not in the same frame of mind. Is nothing against Arrowhead, but I'm like, I'm fucking done.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit. I think I've done 2 rounds, like 2 games of Helldivers 2. And it was because Mike and I we're in a Steam family and he bought it. So I was like, "Oh, how does this work on my Steam Deck?" And it works all right. I mean, I didn't get any kills, but that had nothing to do with it being on the Steam Deck, you know.
It's so much fun. Like it's a
Yeah.
great game. It really is. It's a great concept. I think more developers should like take on that style of game. Like just copy it. In fact, I did a video about it because that's how passionate. Like I was really into Helldivers 2 for like right up until I left. Yeah, then just like fell off. So same thing with Clair Obscura. I was just like, this is great. I'm gonna play this when I get back.
And then just haven't. Yeah.
Just didn't touch it. But I'm
Yeah, I
dying
did
to get back into Cyberpunk. So Mike, you're pushing me, Mike, to get back into Cyberpunk, and I already want to.
Cyberpunk is for me, one of the best games ever made. Coming from someone who wasn't a fan of The Witcher 3, you know, but didn't like the
Never
world of
played
Witcher
it.
3. Yeah, I've tried playing it multiple times and just could not get more than like an hour or 2 into it. And it had nothing to do with the story and everything. It was honestly the controls and how slow I felt. And I was just like, I don't, you know, give me cyberware. Let's do this.
Yeah,
But
I
apparently
feel
you
that.
can't. There's no cyberware in the world of The Witcher.
There
Communist.
could be. Just make it magic based.
That's right. That's right. But
Make it steampunky.
The Witcher 4. There we go. Steampunk.
Yeah.
Cybernetics. Steaminetics. No, that's
Yeah,
sounds
steaminetics.
gross.
I like steaminetics.
Yeah,
Get
it's fine.
steamy, hot and steamy. It works.
Doesn't not work, you know.
Yeah.
But we're gonna talk about some other games and everything today. But the reason that you are here today, I'm gonna transition over to this screen and make sure that my mic is working. Yes, it is. BattleVersus. I don't know why I yelled at you. But BattleVersus is your game. It's up on Kickstarter right now. Can we watch? This is the kind of the talking about trailer. It's a couple minutes long. Can we watch this?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to the official
Hey, that's you.
BattleVersus Kickstarter. In case you don't know me,
Wait, when
my
it's
name's
over,
Asa
I'm gonna
GreenRiver,
mute it
the
because I
creator
hate listening
of
to myself.
BattleVersus. This game
Fair.
has
That's
truly
fair.
been a labor of love, and I'm so excited to share my vision with you all. BattleVersus really came to be out of necessity. I was working at a summer camp at the time, and in that environment, we have these things called calamity days, right? So basically, when the weather gets a little bit too rough, we are stuck inside all day long. And now, if you know anything about kids, is that they will pretty much tell you exactly how it is. Needless to say, they were very vocal about how bored they were with the games that we currently had at the camp. I took it upon myself to make this game up on the fly. So uniquely, it's been play tested since its inception. In fact, I still have the random piece of paper that I wrote down all the initial rules on. But after that, they were constantly requesting to play the game. Counselors
watching with no
started
audio.
reaching out to me even after I left the organization because the kids wanted to keep playing.
Really?
Seeing that demand and excitement over the game, I held on to it. I even began forcing my D&D crew at the time to play a couple rounds before we even started our campaigns, just so I could get some extra playtime in with it. And then year after year, I would tweak it a little bit here and there, and it wasn't until a few years ago when I ran it by my cousin Derek, just to get another pair of eyes, somebody who could let me know know if I really have something. Thankfully, I got the green light, and then of course, with all the encouragement from my partner Reagan, I was ready to go. And now here we are. First and foremost, all the funds are going towards making this game. As a solo dev, my resources are incredibly limited. So right now, I only have one prototype, and with this Kickstarter, I'm hoping to achieve unlimited launch. That then will support a full-scale launch down the road. However, my dreams and aspirations for this are grand, and I'm gonna need some help to get this off the ground. So some of the funds will also go to hiring contractors, so then they can help me really get this across the finish line. This is the current prototype. Functional, right? Well, I would also like it to be more appealing to the eye. So let me share my vision with you, starting with the pieces. Phase 1 of the final playing pieces won't look too different than this. Color-coded minifigs designed to fit each faction while having some variety. The base, though, is where I foresee the biggest changes. They will have vision indicators showing the direction that a piece is facing. And this is crucial when it comes to...
What I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got kind of the idea of what you're looking for and everything, but I figured it'd probably even be better if you just kind of describe the game here for us now instead of instead of Asa in the past. Yeah, ages 7+, 2 to 4 players, but it's capable of more, and solo play, which I think is there's not a lot of like solo, at least in my narrow view and vision of board games. Not a lot of solo board games that you can play.
Even like with solo play, and the reason that I put that is because when I'm doing a lot of the play testing, so like the way that like my development process goes is I have an idea for a faction and just initially just write it down and then just try to like build from there of like what would be cool, right? And that's all spreadsheets, but eventually I have to kind of like put this to practice. Like, does this actually work? So many times I'm playing by myself and make sure that A, fits within the scope of the board. Like, because I've got big ideas. The base game starts off with like 4 factions, but I already have about 12 to 16 fully fleshed out and planned. So others will come out and what I call DLC, and that's like in the descriptors there. So I've got other factions that are planned to come out, and like I said, I love a lot of different things. So really, what I'm doing is I'm pouring things I love into the game. So, for example, like one that is pretty fully built out. Right now, I'm just calling them Cosmic Rainbow Rangers. I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, and I don't own that license, and so it's just like some massive moniker right now. I had to make sure that like my big ideas for this work, right? So like the pieces morph, the ultimate is summoning the Megazord. How does that fit like on the board? And so a lot of the time, sorry, Megazord, my bad.
Zegamord. Yeah.
Zegamord. That's actually what I'm going to start using now. Thank you.
There we go. Yeah.
Zegamord. I had to make sure that like it fit like on the play style works on the board because it's only so big. You've got space taken up by the pieces. Is it too clunky? So I just came to find out that it actually is kind of enjoyable if you kind of just, play by yourself. And then, similarly, it's kind of like, I'm also a big Magic the Gathering fan. And, when you're building a deck in Magic, really a lot of what you're doing is trying to see, like, do these combos work? Like you get your win-con set. And sometimes you can find programs online, upload your deck into it and kind of play with yourself. Well, to make sure that it works. And like this is kind of like the same sort of thing.
Kids, you gotta play with yourself to make sure it works before you play with anyone else. Remember.
Otherwise, how do you know you like doing it?
Exactly. It might not be fun for you.
Yeah, so
that's fine. We have a shirt for that at Storymoders.com. Pride Month, baby. What up?
There you go. So yeah, you can totally play with yourself. It is optimized for 2 to 4. 4 is like the bread and butter. That's what it was ultimately designed for. But you can also play with a lot more than that if you wanted to expand. Like I talk about in the video, but my plan for the board is to have these magnets on it, the board, so you can actually click them together and have like a jumbo board and do big team battle. So if there are big team battle fans out there, like you can play 8 players. It'll fit.
So, and I didn't know if we had it. I just like the idea of playing a board game in a forest. Which
Oh, it's a vibe.
I just like that. So 2 to 4 players, and what we were seeing there was the board with 4 factions on it. So if you're playing with 2 people, are there still 4 factions, or are there just 2? And then is it like 3, 4? How does that work out?
That's actually completely up to you. I think like for beginners, it's probably best just to do 1 faction per person, just have 2 factions on the board. But you can very much have like one person's controlling 2, the other person's controlling 2, and you just kind of jump back and forth. You have your player card, so you're never really going to get tripped up on like, right, I'm getting really into how this faction plays. I'm used to this. How does this one work? Like you're always going to have that, and it's always going to like really kind of guide you on what you're able to do. So more adept players can try that out, but yeah, like you really have a lot of options with it. I think folks will find that it's a very customizable game.
Okay. And for future factions, is one of them going to be a thing of people that maybe are in a Witcher style world with some cyberpunk, steampunk, cybernetics on their face? Is that
So
an idea that I just barely had on my own? Came from nowhere.
I actually don't have one, but that an augments faction would be sick.
Yeah.
And in fact, and I can even make sure to give this to you, so you can have it, but then like you can share it out or put it in show notes. But I do have a community suggestion form.
Oh, hell
So
yeah.
if you want to suggest factions, if you're like, oh, Asa, this would be so cool, add this in there, and it's you can fully flesh out. If you just want to give me just a name, put just a name in there. If you want to like, you should be able to do this, and if the alt was this, like that would be cool. Like the form is built out for you to do any of that.
Oh, nice. Now, what I want to do, I want to dig into as much as we can, with just kind of the Kickstarter video here. I know there's another trailer from the 6-1 Indie Showcase, on YouTube and everything. But as much as you can, without kind of having the visual representation, how do we play the game? Like what? We have like kind of the lore of where it came from in your mind. You're helping you're with the kids, and they're like, hey, I can't go outside, what can we do? And it's fucking awesome. Let's make a game that we can play here. And now when you go home, you can't play it, but Asa's got it. But instead of just, hey, go play checkers and chess, no, let's kind of build something together and from our imagination. But how does the actual gameplay function? What's the idea behind it? Because I'm seeing factions, and my mind obviously goes to Risk because I'm dumb.
Yeah. No, Risk was a big inspiration behind this. So you got you and 3 friends. You pull up the board. You've got your factions on there.
There's my first problem. I have one. I have Mike.
Okay, Mike. So do you have 2 other people that you know?
It's a better question. Yeah, I have a spouse. So, and Mike has a girlfriend.
There
we go. There's 4. Boom. Got it.
Okay.
There we go.
4 people. Let's say you have flown to Columbus, Ohio, or you have come to one of the different areas where I will be showcasing the game. So like, I'll showcase the game at different LGSs. It'll be at PAX West. I haven't announced that yet, but it'll be at PAX West this year, so folks will be able to play it. But so you sit down, you've got all the factions there. Yes, it does really look like Risk. I saw one person in the showcase said, oh, so it's like chess but Fortnite. And it's like, I was like, you know what, that's not the worst thing in the world. Because it does have like, obviously it's on a board. you're moving pieces around. But you're rolling dice. I get the Fortnite aspect because it's colorful. It's different factions. Each one plays drastically different. The 4 factions in the base game are zombies, pirates, ninjas, and a military. And so everybody picks a faction. Everybody gets 2 dice, 10 player pieces, and you have your starting area. So the 4 corners of the board, everybody's going to start in their own little corner. It's their safe zone. And that's also the respawn zone for some. Like if you're in the military faction, it's the respawn zone, or it's the retreat zone if you're a pirate. And you've got 2 D6. And for those who don't know what a D6 is, it's just like a regular dice.
That's just your standard die.
Standard die. So again, when I say customizable, if you don't like the ones that come in the box, you can just go fucking buy them at the store and use those. But you roll 2d6 at the start of each turn. And the reason that you do that is to see if you get your ultimate. Because again, this is a tabletop game that is designed like a video game. You had talked about, and you obviously talked about in the video as well, like this was made for kids at a summer camp when I made this. And when I made this, PUBG recently had been out. Fortnite was just coming out. Overwatch was very new and was huge. So like the kids needed a game that they actually cared about, because all they wanted to do is they were whining. They wanted to go play their video games, which so did I. So it was like, let's play a game that feels like the video games that we love to play.
Counselor Asa, I want to play video games. Me too, but we can't. Let's do this
Literally.
together.
So like
just want to make sure.
When you're playing,
incredible counselor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Each faction has different abilities. So you have your active abilities that you can activate pretty much any time, depending on what faction you are. You have your passive abilities, which are just obviously in play no matter what. And then you have your ultimates. And these are like those giant, devastating, game-winning abilities. And after 20 rounds, everybody gets it. So if you roll D6 and you don't get double sixes, it's fine. You just try it the next time. But eventually, everybody's going to get their ultimate. When I brought this to PAX West last year, one of the players rolled double sixes and got their ult like on round 2. And so then you kind of have this pressure situation of like, shit, is this person going to pop their ult now? It's kind of like that moment when you're playing Marvel Rivals or you're playing Overwatch and you're telling your team like, hey, my ult's ready. And you're just waiting for like that keen, like that opportune moment to drop this like devastating ability.
Yeah.
And like, if you're looking at players like who use the zombies, the ultimate for them is one zombie turns into kind of like a bloater, like in Left 4 Dead, fills up and explodes. And so basically the surrounding areas, and they pick whichever piece that they want. When it explodes, anybody in the vicinity, like it completely wipes them out.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you roll your 2d6 and you get it on round 1, like you could really mess people up like right away.
So you get it round 1. You become the I forget, the bloater. That's fucking Left 4 Dead. God, that's a good game. So good.
And that's
but so with the ultimates, can you just kind of like pocket that and just kind of wait? Okay.
Absolutely. You can make people sweat. There have been instances where I've seen people get it on maybe like round 5, and all of a sudden the table politics come out, and people are like, listen, please don't use it on me. How about we work together?
Yeah.
Let's attack everybody else. And then at the end, obviously it's like 1v1, but it completely changes. Like once anybody's ult comes in, it's like I hate to say this, like in the world that we're in right now, but it's like a Cold War situation where everybody's just hand over their big red button, kind of waiting to drop decimation on the board. But yeah, so let's say you roll, whether you get it or you don't. Now it's your turn. You just move to 1d6. The 2 is really just to determine sometimes ultimates, sometimes it is like counterattacks. But you roll 1d6. That's going to determine how you move. What faction you pick will determine what style of movement you get. So the military moves very linear, right? So it's like whichever way the piece is facing, they can go straight this way, or they can turn and go straight that way. Ninjas are very nimble, so they can move diagonal, they can move backward, they can move in any direction. Pirates are similar to military, right? It's straight this way or that way, but also pirates they fight kind of dirty, so they can actually move backwards. And I really focus on the way that a piece is facing, because we have stealth mechanics. I don't know why I keep saying fucking we. It's just me.
It's the
Making this
colloquial
game.
we. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
You know what? I'm part
there
of
are
this now too.
stealth mechanics.
It's the two of us.
You are. I mean,
There we go.
listen, you gave me the augments, so that like 100% augments is going in the game.
50% royalties. Just let you know.
Hey, that's
100% royalties.
Sure. I mean,
Okay.
50. The number keeps getting higher. It's going to be 200%, and now I
I'm like the
just
Blizzard
owe
Man.
you money.
Okay. All right. Blizzard Man doesn't do anything for free. Okay. That is an SNL reference
fair.
that nobody will get.
But yeah, so when you're moving around, you've got like each way that the player is facing, and there are stealth mechanics. There is a backstab, and then let's say like in those stealth mechanics, Mike rolls up behind your piece. Typically, if you were face to face, you would roll a d6 to attack. You would roll a d6 as well. Higher number wins, takes that piece out. If they're the same, depending on like what it is, it's either going to deflect it or the person's going to get to attack you back. If you're sneaking up behind a piece and you get that advantage, they don't get to roll against you. You just get to roll, and if you cross the threshold, it's a kill. If not, then like no harm, no foul. Yeah, so there's it looks and sounds like really simple at the top, and it can be. It is very open. Like I really wanted to make sure that the game felt accessible for not just new players, but people who just like even don't like tabletop. Like it's just like not their thing. I wanted this to feel fun and easy to pick up, but there is depth, and I think like that's where that chess piece. Like I know the person's probably just talking about like how it looks, but there's a lot of strategy when it comes to chess, and I feel like BattleVersus is kind of like that. Like there is depth there if you want to explore it.
Now, this is a very cliched statement, but it almost sounds like easy to pick up, hard to master. So like anybody could probably jump in and start playing it, but then if there's somebody who, if I'm playing for the first time against you, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna roll this, I'm gonna do this, boom, 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 and I've got all these I've got all this stuff that I know how to do. Is that kind of what it's like? And once again, it's a cliche thing. And well, also one thing that I just want to point out, because I know I might look rude on the recording. I'm looking down right here. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking down at the Discord screen at Asa.
I'm literally
directly. Yeah. So I just want to. So for anybody watching and listening, he's like, why isn't he looking at Asa? I am, but I'm just yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up, because if my PC was still alive right now, my camera, the way I have it positioned, is right on the screen. So whether I would be looking at person that I'm talking to or I'd be looking at the camera, it's just like a very slight movement, but I'm on a laptop, so now I'm like this.
Yeah, I've got my I have an Elgato camera on top of my. Is that what people do? Is it just like on like a little thing right in the middle and just blocking the screen?
I mean, and see, mine's not even blocking. The way that it's positioned, it is just enough like in the foreground that it doesn't fully block the screen. Man, I miss my setup so much. But no, to your point, while that is a cliche statement, I've used that all the time when trying to describe the game to folks, is that it's very easy to get into, but it is tough to master. And there is a depth that, like when I was making it, again, I was contending with PUBG, Fortnite, Overwatch, at the time, Paladins, Battleborn. And so like my hope was that Battleborn, that game was like dead on arrival. Um,
I mean, I think
Gearbox.
Concord was dead on arrival.
Uh,
But
Poor Concord. But yeah, so like I wanted people to have their main, right? Like here are all these factions, but like which one is just like this is your play style. And so I really wanted to make, and that's also like for each faction that I continue to make, I want them to feel so drastically different. Like there might be like some similarities. So like I have a cute woodland creature one that I'm making, and it plays slightly similar to the zombies, but it's just different enough that it will feel very different. Um, but yes, yeah. So each one can feel like very easy to jump into, to kind of like expand on like what you were asking, because there's no like one faction is the easiest one to try. They're all fairly easy, but they all have enough depth that if you really wanted to get into the strategy of it, and again that it changes with who's at your table too. Like
yeah,
what's
yeah,
everyone else's play style. Um, yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay. And then is the goal to win? Is it just to defeat everybody else on the board? Is there kind of are you trying to get to somewhere,
Mhm.
or
So
how do you
the
win? I guess.
default game mode is last faction standing. Very very King of the Hill sort of. I guess very much battle royale Fortnite
You know
esque.
what? There's
Of
there's a faction, King of the Hill. Give me Boomhauer. Give me Hank Hill. You know, give me
and
John Redcord.
the
Rest in
longer that
peace.
you
Okay, should still be a
and
fucking life,
just
but
consume beer.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. Um,
there's my faction.
and you know what? Okay, hold up, hold up. So there's a few other things that I'm developing.
Mm,
Or again, and everything that I'm developing now is in addition to the base game. So like you don't need these extra things that I'm doing. Um, so yes, the base like how you play the game is that last faction standing. Outlast everyone else. I do have rule sets for capture the flag. I do have rule sets for VIP, because again, I'm pulling from that video game space. I
yeah,
want this to feel like you're going like so like even when you're looking at the rule sets when the game gets printed, you'll have quick play or quick match, and that's going to be like your standard play. Like just jump in, we all know what that is. And then you've got Optimatch, and Optimatch is going to be like when you're deciding, all right, what game mode are we playing? Are we playing teams? Are we playing Juggernaut? Are we playing capture the flag, zone control? And there are also in development equipment. I feel like I've talked to people about it, but I don't know if I've said it like in a recording process. And if I have, I'm sorry if I lied. But this feels like I'm saying it for the first time in a recording.
mm,
But I am making equipment. And so that's something else that is additional. You don't need it to play the game and to enjoy the game. It's just something that enhances the experience. And so I am, and these are cards that everybody can pull from a singular pile. You can, I'm kind of toying, and that, again, the equipment is in development. So
yeah,
exactly how it's going to work, I have not set in. So if folks are like, oh, you should do this, you should do this, that's great. You can suggest these things all day long, and I do encourage that. I'm still figuring it out.
yeah,
How many
yeah.
cards you can hold in your hand at one time, that's really the big thing that I'm trying to figure out if I want folks. Because initially I was thinking, well, for as many pieces as you have, that's how many cards you can hold. And then I thought, well, then there's like the standard 7. So I'm kind of mulling around a few different things, and then like maybe a piece of equipment that allows you to hold a lot more, akin to Reliquary Tower from Magic the Gathering. But so you've got like the Buster Sword, not the Buster Sword, that if you
I'd call it the Busted
go to
Sword,
a
but that's just a band that I love. Not Sword, just Busted. They're great. Yeah,
yeah, well, you know what, and
it's
maybe
what I go to school
Busted
for.
if
You know.
like if you take the Busted Sword and you're pulling up to swing at somebody, you have the opportunity in that attack, and it works kind of like an instant spell sort of situation where, hey, in my attack, I'm going to use the busted sword. And when I do that, it's going to extend the girth of my swing. And so I'm not just hitting whatever's right in front of me, because this thing is so huge in my hands and it makes me look so good that when it hits, it's going to hit potentially people that are behind. So like the equipment are just going to really like add to, and there are all different kinds. Like it's not all just melee. I've got some ranged ones as well, some magic based items, some summon items. And there are a couple of other things that I will kind of keep close to the chest that are even more developments that will completely change. But I did mention one of the game modes, so there's that. I said VIP, so that I take what you will from that. That is another game mode that's going to pull in a whole other facet of gameplay variety.
And I hope you're ready for this, because I have a few questions that are more along the I still want to talk about the game. I want to learn more about the actual game itself. But the what's the word? Balancing. So you've got all these different factions that do different. Once again, as we said, easy to play, hard to master. So if you've got your faction that's your main, you can kind of master that one. But how do you go through the balancing of maybe this equipment? Does the equipment have to can only work for this certain faction? I'm trying to say this out loud in my head, but like let's say one of the equipment cards is a machine gun. I don't know. That's the first thing that comes into my mind. I live in Utah.
There is one, yes.
Exactly. Yeah, free Arturo. Okay, he didn't do anything wrong. Fuck ice. But so a machine gun. Okay, that's the card. But if my faction is like pirates, or maybe if there's like a faction of like medieval characters that a machine gun does not work, at least in that lore, can they still? Would you still be able to use it for anybody, or is it like, hey, this is only for these few, and this is for these few, and this is for these few? Kind of how are you going through that balancing stage to kind of make sure that everything feels, I guess, fair and once balanced? Oh God, I said fair and balanced. Fuck Fox News. God damn it. Oh. Fuck.
So a couple things. Pull back to Optimatch and Quick Match. So the way that Optimatch works is very much that. So let's say, all right, we have chosen. I'm on the board. Sorry, Mike's girlfriend's gone. I'm in. Actually, you know what? That Mike's gone. He's working on his car.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Come
on, Mike.
So we've decided. All right, we're doing Optimatch. We're adding in equipment cards. Cool. Now we get to decide, do we want to do the default, or do we want to do like an abridged version? So default is anybody can use them.
Okay.
But the cards, in kind of like how I've been designing them, will have like color slivers on the side, because I love the color coordination with everything. So obviously you've seen like each faction is a bold color, and the dice match those. So there are slivers that kind of indicate what that equipment is slightly related to. So the standard version to use equipment it's just an equipment card. If you draw it, you can use it. If you want to do what I call, if you institute like hardcore mode, where it's hardcore difficulty, if you draw a card and it's the sliver on the equipment is not the same color as your team, then you can't use it. And you're going to have to either discard it then, or maybe you can have a trading situation. But either way, you've got dead on arrival equipment in your hand. You can't use it. So you've got a couple different ways to play. But the default is, I just want people to have fun. And to kind of get into that accessibility piece of I want everybody to be able to play without barriers. Everybody can use them by default, but if you want to do hardcore mode, you can't.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm I'm trying to think of and this is gonna I'm not saying this to butter you up a bit, but I'm trying to think of a game that is this way. Other than, I mean, the Fortnite is kind of similar where you got the skins, so you can see
Hmm.
Goku, rocking the Nike Airs and shooting it, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of weird. Um,
Yeah.
but just it feels like what you're going for is what's like I'm thinking of kind of Marvel Comics Battle World, where everything from everywhere was just
Hmm.
thrown into one thing, and you're just like, hey, fucking fight.
Yeah.
And things aren't matching up, obviously, because you've got different characters from different worlds and different universes and different eras and everything kind
Yeah.
of going against each other. Is
Yeah.
that how you kind of see this? Is it hey, this is a world where factions fight. Whatever the faction is doesn't matter. I mean, as long as the
Yeah.
faction isn't like Terminator robots that just are indefeatable and just kill everything by their minds. Is there a faction of Doctor Manhattans? I call it dibs.
There's not a faction of there's not a
Dibs.
faction of Dr. Manhattans, but there is a faction of Terminator style
Oh
robots.
god damn it!
Uh, that are you kidding me? I love Terminator. That was one of the first things I did. Um, what's so funny is those play similar to zombies, but they have two stages because obviously they're all T800s.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing VIP and you've done that. But so they're standard all T800. So, if you defeat it, doesn't defeat it, it puts it into like crawling mode. So pretending that you've blown out the half,
Oh
and now
okay. Yeah.
it can no longer do ranged. It changes the style of combat. So the T. Wow, sorry, I'm just so passionate about
No,
literally if I'm not excited
fucking
about something,
everything.
I don't
Yeah.
make it.
No,
Yeah.
go
Um,
ham, as the kids say, as Jay
yeah.
Z and
But
another unnamed person said.
but to actually answer your question, fuck, and then an ADHD style. I blanked. I have the nature of the question, but not the exact question. Um, so I'm just gonna dance around it, and then
Yeah.
if I didn't fully clarify, like jump in. Um, no, just wanted to make a fun game that kind of had everything that I've ever wanted. And when it came to like the story beats behind it, like you talk about like the battle world, like I was like, oh, well, mechanically, I want it to be fun. I want this to be the game that I've always wanted, but I also want like the story to be something
Yeah.
that's important to me as well. Um, it, and then I really was trying to stay true to my mission of I want everybody to be able to jump into this without needing all this backstory shit. So the story behind it, because there is a story, there is a lore. It's all extra. Like you see that Destiny shit. I don't care what people say. I love the grimoires of Destiny 1. Like you can either jump in and play the game and just enjoy it. And if you really wanted the meat, you could go to Bungie.net and like read, or the app on the phone, and like read the extra stuff and learn about all these characters and stuff that should have been in the game, but it was fun to like take that little extra step. So um, there is a story to it that is kind of similar to that. The teaser trailer that showed in the 6-1 Indie Showcase
We'll watch
um,
that here in a moment.
is more in line with the story. I guess like for uh, kind of giving like a brief elevator pitch, like very similarly to Battle World in some regards. Like there is an entity in space that is pretty much all powerful, is curious, and kind of think Watchers. This species that is omniscient and omnipresent is really just watching and not interfering. And this one is even they are a collective consciousness, so they're in theory all the same being. They're also all individuals, and so this one kind of disturbs the consciousness by being really intrigued by the quest for power, and kind of supplants all of these different factions from across the universe. Um, and puts them into like their tournament of power. Like think Cell games from Dragon Ball Z. Really just wanted to see who's the strongest.
Yeah.
And so since they're omnipresent, they're jumping from different time periods and different planets and taking the best of the best and just like putting them in this spot and saying, all right, fight it out. And basically just, forcing all of this mass murder and things like that. And the story evolves from there, but that is like the basic gist of it, to kind of give reason to why there are zombies and pirates and robots and chipmunks all fighting each other. Like, why is this a thing? Well, here's kind of like what's going on.
Okay. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to run an ad for our own podcast because I made one, and it's not that great because we decided to record different pieces of it after every recording for the last month when we were already drunk, so it just does not flow, but it's great. I love it anyway. And then when we come back, we're going to do two things. We're going to watch the trailer, the 6180 trailer, and then you're going to talk to me about these fucking chipmunks, okay? So, we will be right back. I'm Robert.
I'm Mike.
We're the Storymoders. We're two friends who love gaming.
So we started a podcast.
We talk gaming.
Games we like,
Games we don't.
lists related to games, gaming. Sometimes we have kick-ass guests,
Streamers.
filmmakers, Emmy winners.
Just the one so far.
We get them all.
So, if you like gaming, check out the Storymoders podcast.
New episodes every Thursday on YouTube,
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
and wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back. That was, like I said, the trailer that I made from our drunken ramblings. Share us with your friends. If you like the stuff that we're doing, share it with your friends. Also, check out storymoders.com. Our Pride merch lineup is up right now. All of the proceeds go to Encircle, which is a Utah-based organization for LGBTQ plus youth and family resources. It's incredible. We're trying to raise as much money as we can for them. And I would say the merch looks cool as shit too, and it's very comfy. I got this shirt, and I was hoping that it was going to be comfy because it was a new kind of shirt, and it is very comfy, and it looks cool. I don't know how much I'm coming up on camera. It's kind of cut off, but we've got a trailer to watch. Asa, is your voice in this trailer?
I'm going to be honest. Don't know.
Well, maybe you won't mute this one. This is the trailer that was at the 6-1 Indie Showcase in May, which was last month. So let's give this a quick watch. This is different from the Kickstarter video that we were watching earlier.
We need to send them back. Now.
Why would I do that when we have the chance to truly analyze their potential?
Potential for what? What are you planning?
Got that on a loop here. Yeah, so that's the trailer that you saw at that you may have seen at the 6-1 Indie Showcase. Kind of just came out of nowhere during the show, which is awesome. It was actually just a great showcase. A ton of cool games that I'd never heard of.
Phenomenal showcase.
How did you get kind of in touch with them? Did they reach out? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So the wonderful folks at 61ND reached out to me because they had heard about the game. 'Cause like I said, I've been working on it for a while. I've been showing it and talked about it. And yeah, so they reached out and asked like, hey, this is a showcase where we have a couple of other things that we're looking at putting in that are not video games. Do you want to be the first tabletop game a part of the showcase? And I was like, hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and so
Sorry,
then
hell
just kind of went from there. No, hell yeah, fuck yeah, shit yeah, ass yeah. All the yes.
Yeah.
Gotta use ass.
Gotta use ass.
Nah.
Not yeah.
Gotta use ass. Ass yeah.
But yeah is from Sandlot. It's yeah. You know what I mean?
You know
So
what?
Sandlot's a movie. We gotta back up here. Sandlot, it's a feature film starring
Seen
people.
it one time.
That's fair.
One time.
It was filmed here in Utah, so it's like a big Utah thing, and they do screenings of it
Really?
every year at the ballpark where it was filmed. I haven't gone because I'm not the biggest fan of the movie, but it's cool. But yeah. So, and I think this is probably taken from a page here. BattleVersus, and this is Noble Games over on YouTube has re-uploaded the trailer. Awesome. Is this your
really?
write-up here?
I don't know. I can't even read it. It's very
Okay.
small for me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. BattleVersus is the world's first hero shooter tabletop game, blending faction-based strategic multiplayer action. BattleVersus, it says BattleVerse, they may have, whatever. BattleVersus drops players into a bombastically dark tournament of power and poise. This is a tabletop experience that was built using video game design principles. And then utilizing a simple D6 system, the BattleVersus rule set is open to varying playstyles, making it easy for players to take control of one of the 4 carefully crafted factions, all of whom have loadouts with unique and devastating abilities. In short, roll to move, roll to attack, roll to counter, roll to win. So, whether you're unleashing an unforgiving zombie horde or summoning the Kraken from the depths, make sure that when the dust settles, you are the last one standing, proving that you are the ultimate life form by winning the great battle in the universe. I think it's supposed to be greatest battle in the universe.
It is supposed to be greatest.
Yeah, fucking
I did write that.
copy paste. Just, come on, Noble Games.
I hope
love
it's
you.
not
You're great.
complete copy paste
Yeah, no.
because that means that I had misspellings in it.
It's like, I have not noticed this. But yeah, we just have the trailer over to the side here on a loop as we talk. So, yeah, so 6-1 Indie just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and I think for me at least, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, completely transparent. I was a little confused.
Good.
And maybe it was just the way that I was seeing it. I was watching. Was it on Saturday? Or was it in the middle of the week? I don't know. It was I was watching it as there was something else going on that I had to focus on, which I think was like a work thing. So in the way that I kind of took it was that it was not necessarily a battle game or kind of a board game with the mindset of like being made with the mindset of a video game, but that there was a video game aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I did see some people that kind of also had that idea, like, oh, is this a video game or is this what is it? Yeah. So I just wanted to, just letting you know kind of how I saw it, but obviously speaking to you and looking at more.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is so first of all, that's exactly what I was hoping for.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're watching the showcase, right after that is a featurette of me talking. And so I'm talking about the game and like how it plays and what it is. But as I was making the trailer, because I wanted it to feel like a video game, I wanted to feel like, oh, like this is going to be like some sort of video game that I've not heard of. And then switching over to, wait, is this like, are those chess pieces? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I was expecting. And what's so funny is at PAX West, at PAX East this year, we did a behind closed doors screening of this. and I was sitting in the room, and people didn't know that I was there and that was my game or anything like that. So they're genuine reactions, and I heard somebody go, "Oh wow, okay, okay, cool, cool." And then as soon as it does that zoom in, and the characters are walking towards the big red door, and then it switches over to the board game. Someone was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And I just started busting up laughing because that was like, and I guess the only reference I have is my partner, but I was like, this is the reaction that I want. I want people to see this because to me, this is something that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Like you've seen tons of video games ported over to the tabletop format. If you look at like Bloodborne, Sonic, things like that.
Yeah, I think I
But
have
they're
a
super.
few that honestly I've never played. I've got this was my old roommate's. Accidentally left it here, and he doesn't watch this, so he'll never know. The Resident Evil board game. I think it was Resident Evil.
Ah,
It was 1 or 2, but like the board game from their Kickstarter. So it's the pre-release thing. And then I think we've got a few other ones as well in our board game shelf. So,
but they're not like. I've played a lot of them, and I've seen them, and I've seen people play them and review them and talk about them. And they're still very much just tabletop games.
it's a tabletop game with a skin on it that looks familiar.
Yes, and I didn't want that. I wanted something that looks, smells, sounds like a video game. You have to like, this is tabletop. Like,
Yeah.
That's the kind of feeling that I wanted to elicit. Of this is just as fun, just as like jump in action that I would expect from a video game. The vernacular and how everything works is how I would expect, but it's in a tabletop format. And so that's why I made the trailer the way it is. I wanted it to look like a video game trailer, feel like a video game trailer, but then quite literally in the trailer, when it cuts to black, there's like this blur moment when it switches over to the physical game.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like the eyes are coming into focus because you're going from seeing a very clear video game picture to this tabletop. And so when someone says, "What the fuck is this?" That's what I want, because this is not something that you've seen or experienced previously.
Yeah, and this part in the trailer specifically that we're talking about, going through the red door, and then there's the blur of kind of seeing, now I'm on a tabletop. For me, that was what did it, where I'm like, wait, so am I like, is there a video game aspect where I'm playing it and now I'm going to, and I've got to finish it over here, then come back to, what is this? But hearing you, explain it, like, goddamn, I wish I could not have those ads up there. It blocks everything. Also, they're like not centered and they're not even. What the fuck? Sorry, but no. Hearing the way that you're kind of talking about it and how that was your intention, you fucking knocked that out of the goddamn park. That's for sure. But yeah, no. It feels like you're going through that door, and that door is like the portal, if you will. And now this is the world that you're in. It's as we see there's the kind of forest, which I'm assuming is kind of like the ninja faction. There's the ship, which is the pirates. There's the soldiers. And then what was the last one? Looked like a big kind of wooden, almost Resident Evil-ish door. Is that the zombies?
Yeah.
Okay. That one right there. Yep.
Shout out to stock footage.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Pexels? Did you use Pexels?
Yeah.
We use Pexels. I use that a lot for when we did our rebrand on the podcast. We got a logo done by the incredible French Dip Design. I just took a shitload of different Pexels videos, and I was just like, construction, and just put those all together with some music. It's a great site.
Well, and fun fact, I had an original trailer, but all the files got corrupted. The person who was working on it for me, and this was like a week and a half, 2 weeks before like final assets needed to be turned in, and it was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry," and I just got done working an event, so I was gone, so I didn't even see the email until I got back. I'm like, "Oh, so I need to pull this together real quick.
Yeah.
I don't have the time. So I was like, all right, stock footage, let's do this.
Hey, no, it like I said, it gets the idea across.
Yeah.
And especially being in the 6-1 Indie showcase, which is video games. You know, this wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's showcases for tabletop games, or there's events for tabletop games. I know.
Yeah.
Our friend Neo Aoshi went to what is it, PAX Unplugged?
PAX Unplugged.
I think
Yeah.
is the event. Yeah. So he went to that, which is all like tabletop stuff. So this could have very easily slotted into something like that instead. But putting this in that 6-1 Indie showcase, where this is an indie game. It's a tabletop game, yes, but it's an indie game, and it has that DNA of a video game. It just happens to, instead of using this, I'm using a die, which for those, if anybody played fucking Baldur's Gate 3, I used this, but everything was done with a die, and that was kind of that tabletop experience almost. But this is just more tangible. So, as this plays, fucking chipmunks.
Yeah. Okay.
What is this, a faction?
So
is it Alvin?
It is a faction. Right now, it's just the tentative name. I've got my doc up. Is Woodland Creatures. But so it's not just chipmunks. It's chipmunks, rabbits, squirrels, and the point was for it to be very cutesy. And the way, I guess without like giving too much away, and also I guess I want to like pull back just a little bit. I make each faction, like I said, from passion points.
Yeah.
And there are hopes that, and this is one of the reasons why I don't come up with solidified names for these factions, because I have hopes that I can partner with certain brands to get their naming rights for them to be a part of this experience.
Yeah. Which I was going to ask that here in a bit, actually, but we're just kind of going into it, which is dope.
I've had a couple of those conversations, and really it's just been like, well, hey, once the game is out, and we can da 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 da. And so like there are people that are excited about the prospect of being, and they like how the faction looks. But this is one of those that there is a brand, an identity that I would like to connect with these woodland creatures. But so
I have one in mind, faction, but I don't want to say it out loud because I don't know any sort of legalities or anything.
Yeah, so there can be all guessing. Like some of them are like really on the nose, right? Like with the robots, we just talked about Terminators. Like that's super obvious. Like some of them are there, but others that might be a little more obscure, like this one. Or like I have another one that is the Highland Warriors. If anybody's ever seen the show or the movie with Christopher Lambert or
Mortal Kombat,
the show. Well, I mean, I think it was the movies made around the same time, but people with swords, cutting off heads, lightning, the quickening, the getting powers. So I've got like a whole faction that's based around that because I just fucking love that shit. But anyway, so woodland creatures, they're super nimble, right? They move very similarly to ninjas. They can move all across the board. But the thing is they can't attack. One unit cannot attack by itself. Mm-hmm. So you can defend, you can deflect, but you cannot attack unless you are together. And the thing is so when you are in pairs, you always attack together. And you basically have to, as the defending player, have to decide who you're going to defend against. But damage can be split up. So there's a few other things that go into that. But that's kind of like just high level as far as like attacking and countering. I won't dive into the abilities too much because I feel like that is going to give, but I'll talk about the ultimate. Yeah. So the ultimate is called Call of the Wild. And because I'm really excited about the ultimate for the woodland creatures, because this is an ultimate that actually does not do damage to the board, because I wanted, it's important to me going up a little bit, for each faction to their abilities to like feel authentic to that faction,
Mhm.
right? So like if I'm playing as squirrels and chipmunks and bunnies, those are not like violent creatures,
They
right?
could
So
be
that's why like
tiny
they
chainsaws.
can't they can be when they have something to protect, which is
Yeah.
why they have to attack together. But so with their ultimate, I was like, there isn't an ultimate that feels like it fits with like destroying shit on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so their ultimate is called Call of the Wild, and what it does is it basically just completely renews their entire army. Uh, so let's say they've been decimated. There's one unit left on that team. They pop their ult, and their whole team comes back. Like they are completely a whole new threat. Then on the plus side, or like on the other side of that, if they have not, so the refill is 10, right? So it's 10 extra units.
Mhm.
Well, if they have not lost any, stayed in their starting safe zone, they get their ult on turn 1, for example, and then they pop their ult. They now have 20 units. So they have double the number of anyone else. Now they are a real fucking problem.
But then once again,
Because
they couldn't attack solo. So they've got
right,
20
but there's
people, but
so
that one
many
person
of
can't.
them.
Yeah, but like that's not like, oh, I've got 20. I'm going to
Yeah,
send one out at a time to just do a little bit of damage. No, you can't. You have to go as
yeah.
at least a pair. Yeah.
And I guess I should clarify, like when it comes to their attacking, and I haven't said anything about their defense, just attacks and counters.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
with
know
their
this is
attacks,
this
when I
is
say
definitely like a thing still kind of in progress. So,
yeah, yeah, the attacking is they don't have to be side by side.
mm,
They could be diagonal. They could be like sandwiching. Like as long as they're in the vicinity and it's not reliant. You know, some things like stealth attacks are very reliant on their direction, on like where the piece is facing. That's not the case for the woodland creatures. They could be looking anywhere because if you've ever seen a chipmunk, a squirrel, a bunny, or anything like that, they're super sporadic. They can hear you coming from a mile away, and they're twitching and everywhere. And so they never have to be looking the direction that any attack is coming. So they
yeah.
can never be backstabbed. They have an increased ability to escape. And then they also, I guess I could say, one of their passive abilities. I haven't given a name to it yet, but it basically is that. So if whenever they counter or defend or something like that, they can now move far away. So they can get away from that spot, which is not the same for a lot of pieces, a lot
I
of
believe the
factions. It's
term you're looking for is skedaddle. Okay.
please.
200% royalties.
Skedaddle.
Here we go.
I also, now that I'm in the dock, let me put in augments. Okay. Yeah, so those are the woodland creatures. If you are to kind of some of the game modes that might feature a singular piece that is like a more beefed up version of a regular piece.
Hmm.
Right now, I have planned for each faction to have 2, ideally 3, but I'm starting off with just 2 of these beefed up versions. So one of the beefed up versions, you had mentioned a certain Alvin. One of the beefed up versions is a set of 3 siblings that are always together. So this piece is not reliant on anybody else being nearby.
Yeah.
But if anybody else is nearby, they all attack. It's not just 2 or just 1.
Yeah.
It's these 3 that are always together, and then if there's any other pieces. So they're very overpowered. I would say look at these beefed up versions as like walking ultimates. And I think that's probably the most I've ever said about that new addition to the game. I think,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I have no idea if I said it on something else because memory is like not a thing for
Yeah,
me sometimes.
yeah. Oh man. So and we may have like talking about kind of the woodland creatures. One, bears are in the woods. There you go. That's a creature. There's woods. Polar bear maybe doesn't count, but black bear eats people. Just throwing that out there. So you said maybe kind of their ultimate. If they're all kind of hunkered down, all 10 of them, you get the ult, you pop that. Now there's 20. So how does that work with kind of movement? In the game, like when I'm rolling dice to move, how many? And if we touched on this earlier, I'm sorry if I missed it. But just like movement, like am I moving one at a time? I'm assuming I'm not rolling a die for every character that I have on the board at the time.
Right.
Kind of how is this movement going? Does each faction, hey, I'm the soldier, so when I roll, I can move 2, but now I'm the woodland creatures, I can roll and I can move 4 together, kind of stuff like that. Does movement work the same for everybody, or is it faction based again?
This faction based again. Movement is very different for everyone. So I had mentioned before, each faction has like different directional ways that they can walk, whether it be forwards, backwards, diagonal. But then you do have some movement abilities. And in some cases, that is their passive. In some, it's just their movement ability. It's not anything extra. So, for example, the ninjas, they have an ability called Swift, a movement ability called Swift. And so on their last step, if they want, they can take one extra step in that direction that they were going. For the military, they have one that's basically like squadron. So if you have 2 units next to each other, you can take those 2 and move them together. And then you have something that is not a movement ability, but is a passive ability for the zombies, and that's called Hive Mind. And so with the zombies, let's say I roll my d6 and I roll a 6. I can either move 1 unit, 6 spots. I can move 6 units, 1 spot.
Oh, okay.
Or I can split that up however I want because zombies have hive mind. They're all in the same brain, so they can all take advantage of the roll. So it really just depends, do you have a movement ability, or, does your passive really affect that in some regard? Because if you just take out the hive mind aspect, zombies move the same as ninjas do. They just don't have Swift, right? So like they don't get an extra step. They just can move in any direction. But yeah, so everybody kind of moves differently. And then kind of likewise, it kind of branching off a little bit, with attacks, not every faction has both ranged and close quarters combat. And these are all some of the things that are on your faction card that shows everything that you can do. But like zombies are only close quarters. They don't have ranged combat.
Yeah.
And then you get like the military that is primary. They have advantage when it comes to doing ranged attacks versus if they do close quarters. They can do close quarters, but their range for a critical attack is a lot larger than it is if they are doing ranged, where they can hit crits pretty easily.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing that I haven't really talked about, is there are critical rolls. So if you roll in that critical range, that attack could potentially, depending on the abilities of the other faction, can go uncontested. Like that damage is just done like that. But some factions have that and some factions don't. So that's where that balancing kind of comes into play, and where you hopefully can find what works best for you.
Yeah. And I mean, that brings me back to the balancing aspect, which to me is one of the most difficult and fascinating, facets of making a game like this, where it's not just different skins. There's 4 groups that are different skins and they all do the same thing. Like you said, zombies can only do melee. They can't do ranged. So, and then let's kind of dumb it down. The soldiers can really, they can only do range. They can't do melee. So or they can do both. Like, so with the zombies melee, is that stronger than like maybe the soldiers melee because they're primarily ranged, or does their melee, let's say counts for like 1 to 6 damage, the zombies, but then the soldiers melee also is 1 to 6, but then they also have this ranged ability. Like, how does that come into play, I guess? Because if I'm thinking, like, if they're all the same, I'm a soldier, I'm gonna fucking back up as much as I can and just shoot with a gun. And if I can get these zombies before they even get to me, then I'm fine. But like, how I'm so fascinated with the balancing of something like this, where there are different factions and they all do play differently, and it's great because everybody, like you said, gets their own, or you can have kind of your main, like, oh, I love playing as the pirates, so I can do this, how do you go into making sure that it's not just, oh, I'm the soldiers and I can just shoot from the back and I'm good?
So there's definitely a lot that goes into it. I think when I incorporated success ranges, so you can't just snipe from wherever. So ranged attacks have to be from 2 squares.
Oh, okay.
So if you happen to get in the original iteration, I went as minuscule as like, all right, the type of unit is where like things can really change. And that's where hardcore, I imagine that's going to come into play, because I do have all of the pieces designed uniquely. So there will be a piece that has like a sniper rifle, but in standard play, they're all going to play the same. So there's like that balancing aspect. So if you play hardcore, you're really going to get minuscule with what each piece can then do. But like with the balancing, talking about going back to the ranges, the military can't be all the way back, right? They still have to be within 2 squares to do that ranged attack. They're just not putting themselves at risk, basically, at being up and close, because when you roll to counter, if the other person rolls higher, depending on who they are, they might get to attack back, and now you're out a piece. So they didn't just deflect the damage, now they're killing you in retaliation.
Like, I'm a soldier, I roll a 1, but then so-and-so rolls a 6. Yeah, like...
And so then, like, when it comes to, let's talk just zombies and military, right? So, the military, and I call them the MWB, it's the Militia Without Borders. The MWB, I know.
Bit on the nose.
Listen.
Yeah.
It's super on the nose, especially when you see the alt is called the IMD.
Just call them frozen water, and they have no rules. They can do whatever they want, apparently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, totally. But so but talking about like these two specifically, and think about shooting a zombie, right? So let's say I roll to attack. I'm MWB, you're the zombies. I roll to attack, I roll a 2. I'm at range, so you would think you're not a ranged faction. There's really no risk for me. And there might not be a risk, but I might not have defeated you because you roll a 5. And so with that 5, it's just like the bullet hits the chest. You didn't hit the zombie in the brain. So you shot it, but the zombie is still moving because you didn't hit high enough. And then you have the critical ranges like I talked about before. So like, let's say I rolled a 6 and you didn't roll a 6. So if you also rolled a 6, it's a situation where we would just roll again. But you rolled a 5 because I rolled in that critical range. That is a headshot and you're gone. Then when it comes to balancing the hand-to-hand combat with the MWB, whereas no, they can't get up in your face and hit you. Because the idea there is that, they just have too much fucking equipment in their hands. They have this big gun that's in the way. But they can still come up behind you and do stealth kills. And they can still retaliate. So let's say you roll to attack me as the zombie because you're right up on me doing your business. You roll a 4, I roll a 5. I'm within range. I now can just kill you back. I'm at close quarters combat range, which isn't typical for the MWB, but that's just one of their abilities. They're always able to return fire, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like there's always this in the balancing act of if I make one person super powerful, then the other person kind of needs to be rose to the same level, but
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, I mean, obviously, with that's what balancing is to make sure that, hey, we're playing a game, cool, I'm this faction because I know the way that this faction can kind of just be undefeated all the time, and that is, like I said, for me, one of the most fascinating things with it. Not even just your game with BattleVersus, just kind of any game is. There's definitely been some game developers who haven't put that into thought, and it's like, oh yeah, no, I'll just do this thing real quick and just kind of dominate. But with the does each character, and I'm saying character, I'm more, once again, using kind of video game terms. Each character, each player, whatever. Does each character on the board have their own life bar, or is it essentially one hit and you're gone, or is there HP for each person or each character on the board? How does that work?
So for the most part, it is one hit gone.
Okay.
And that kind of speaks to the quick matches that can happen. I've seen games go 15 minutes. I've seen games go 90 minutes. Like if people like really want to take things slow.
Yeah.
But then you will have factions not in the first round of factions that are being introduced, because again, I want things to just be like quick, easy, and I want people to have to think too much if they don't want to. But then you'll have ones like the walking tank robots that they do have sort of a health bar to them, as that it takes 2 hits to really take them out, because they'll go from walking at ranged to now crawling in close quarters.
Okay. Yeah. So the robots, the not Terminators, what is a different word for the erasers?
Yeah.
That kind of works.
Erasers, exterminators, eradicators.
Yeah. There we go. The Eradicators. They're the Rhea Ripley's.
The Rhea Ripley's. Yeah.
Oh, she's so hot. So the Rhea Ripley's. They have like a range attack, but then if you hit them once, then they're only range. So I'm just like thinking. So I'm the soldiers. You're the Rhea Ripley's. I let you win because mommy's always on top. But you're the Rhea Ripley's. I'm the soldiers. We're advancing to each other. I'm ranged, and I hit you. And now instead of you dying, now you are only melee. So now you kind of have that extra ability to kind of come at me.
Yeah. And kind of similarly to the woodland creatures, how whenever they are in a situation, they can now skedaddle. The robots, when they take their damage, they can still keep pushing forward.
Yeah, because they're they got arms. Yeah. We've seen Rhea Ripley. She's got fucking arms.
Yeah, she's got arms for days.
She's so hot. Sorry. Fucking love Rhea Ripley. She's great. Okay. So we've talked a lot about how the game is played, how we're doing things, kind of the 4 initial factions. And you've said you've kind of have some ideas, and the question that I wanted to ask, because you kind of brought it up a little bit with trying to partner with brands potentially to kind of have these things. So if everything worked out, you had everything that you wanted in this game, and you had a faction that you wanted to do, and that faction was based on an IP, what would be your dream faction? How would that work out?
Dream faction. I've got a list right here.
Yeah.
Like I could pull any of these. I've already talked about some of them. I think maybe.
Yeah, we talked about the Rhea Ripleys maybe being Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
Or fuck it, no, just make them Rhea Ripley. Just a bunch of Rhea Ripley. They would win. That would be the most powerful, because you're like, I don't want to attack her. Give me a hug. You
I
win.
I think my favorite one out of ones that, as far as like partnering right now that I have, it's so hard because I love them all, but maybe I'll go vampires.
Okay.
Because the vampire faction is the first one that I took a huge shift into, like, just how the unit plays, and there are just so many vampire products out there that I really enjoy. I would just love to partner with, specifically.
There's one
like,
correct
if I could
answer.
I mean, for a large population, yes, there's one correct answer, but for me, it would be Castlevania.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if I could just have this full on, because like even talking about the big beefy extra units, they're based off of like Dracula, obviously, Alucard. I mean, and I wanted to put one of the Belmonts in there, but I'm like, but these are all vampires. I mean, I guess like there's like ways around it we could go, but actually this was the faction that I was like, I'm just gonna stick with two, for sure, because I couldn't think of a third vampire in that universe that I really liked that much to be a beefy extra unit.
Maybe that extra unit is not a vampire, but maybe a vampire slayer.
I mean, I wanted Simon Belmont. Like,
No, that's not who I'm talking about. You know it's
Van
Buffy.
Helsing, because that would be the second one that I would want.
No, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
See, and that's third on the list. Third on the list. I want Simon. If I can't have Simon, I want Van Helsing. If I can't have Van Helsing, Buffy.
I feel like you could have Van Helsing, right? Is that not in the public domain yet?
I don't think it's in not the Hugh Jackman one that I really want.
Fair. Okay, fair.
And I believe that's Legendary Pictures, and I've already tried to contact them about a few other things, and it's not easy.
That's their Dark Universe, or the not Dark Universe. I think that was supposed to be part of it. I could be wrong.
I think it was supposed to be a part of it, but the Dark Universe, that's a different version of Van Helsing, technically.
Yeah. God damn. Remember that? Hey, here's the Dark Universe, all these actors, and then none of that shit happened. But
None
the Mummy.
of it happened. Yeah.
And I think Dracula Untold was part of it, but I could be wrong.
Was it?
I think it was, or it may have been like that was right before it. But I remember the Mummy was part of it, and when that came out, I went to my spouse and I think our like his family, we went to California for something. And we went to Universal, or we went to, no, it wasn't even Universal. It was in the public. So I think it was like maybe Mann's Chinese Theater, and there was a giant Mummy display there. And I was like,
Whoa.
This is a lot for this movie. Okay. And then I went to M&M World. M&M's, not M&M.
M&Ms.
Not Marshall Mathers. Yeah.
Yeah, Mom Spaghetti.
Mom Spaghetti. Oh my God. That's in Detroit, apparently. That's a restaurant. I don't know if it's still around.
That's what I heard. I was just up there a couple months ago, but I didn't even think to go look for it.
Yeah. Well, that's disappointing.
That's right. I heard it was mid.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people throw it up though, so it's not good on the tummy, Tim. All right, Asa. I still want to talk about this game, but I don't want to take up all of your time because you are in Ohio, and for those of us in the know, it's fuck Ohio forever.
I mean, I'm not against that, but dang.
Sorry, I'm a GCW guy, right? 404.
I know what that is.
It's a wrestling. You got to get into GCW, Game Changer Wrestling.
Oh. Okay.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Ohio's fine. It's not Kansas. It's not KC. Fuck Kansas City. I'll say that with my entire chest. Fuck Kansas City. FUKC. Okay? Their soccer team has been better than ours in sometimes, and they beat us in a championship, and I hate it. Not a fan. Not a fan. Okay.
I'm a Crew fan, so I've got my feelings about different teams. Probably shouldn't have said that now, but we're at the end of the show, so maybe it's okay. Can't see all my Crew scarves over here.
Do you really have Crew scarves?
Do
you go to games?
I do. It's been a while because I have
Yeah.
2 kids, so I have not been to a game in a minute. But I used to go all the time. Huge soccer fan. I used to work with Manchester United, and they sent me a personalized jersey. I've got that somewhere. I'm not a Man U fan. No offense, Man U's okay. Thank you for the jersey.
No. Fuck Man U. Fuck Manchester United.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Fuck
yeah.
'em.
Totally.
Chelsea.
I don't work with them anymore. I didn't even see the Chelsea flag. I got a Liverpool.
Oh my God, you were just making this so much worse.
That's because my partner, she got me a Liverpool scarf when she was there.
God, Jim Tasty is gonna love that. Jim Tasty. I don't know if you know who he is. That name.
Oh, I know Jim Tasty. We did a podcast together about
Yeah.
Coldplay.
Jim. Of course you did. Of course you fucking did. Jim Tasty, big Liverpool fan, apparently. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah. He also loves Liverpool, or also loves Coldplay. So obviously, poor tastes.
I
Okay.
like Coldplay. I like old Coldplay the most.
Old play. You get it? Because it's like
Yeah.
cold. So you got crew scarves. Yep.
I do. Dusty as hell. I got 2 championship ones, then just a regular Crew Union one, and then there's another one, but I don't remember which one that is.
How long have you been a Crew fan? The Columbus Crew, for those who don't know, Major League Soccer club, one of the originals. Yeah.
My very first game was in 1996. I remember
It's year one. Yeah.
maybe it was 97. It was because I just remember we went to Burger King beforehand, and Hunchback of Notre Dame was in the movie theaters at the time, and that the toy that I got was, I wanted the Quasimodo toy, but I got the scary guy. And so I walked into the stadium finishing off my Mighty Kids meal, or Big Kids meal, and I had my scary Hunchback of Notre Dame toy. And that's what I remember walking in with that. So that was my very first Crew game. And then I don't even remember the last one because I have not been to Lower Field yet. The last game that I went to was in now Mapfre Stadium, but it's Crew Stadium for life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think is Mapfre the one that because I think this was actually during when Real Salt Lake was there, where the stadium big screen caught fire.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's the same stadium.
Yeah, that was a Real Salt Lake was there, and I remember the match getting delayed. And it's like, why? It's like, oh yeah, the big stadium screen caught fire. I'm like, yeah, of course it did. Of course it did.
It was really old, out of date.
Yeah. So, because I wanted to ask is, out of all of the Crew crests logos, which is your favorite?
Ooh. Didn't mind. I'm a huge sucker for like the old school Gildan one with 3 silhouette dudes.
The 3 dudes.
3 dudes.
Yeah.
And that's just purely nostalgia. Yeah. I think my favorite one would probably have to be like the first major rebrand that they had, which was like more in line in the time with more football clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like,
it was a circle one.
Of course, I like the C. Yeah, it was the circle one with all the different lines in it and the C. So that's probably, and that's one that I like kind of went wild with a lot of my merch because I was like, oh, I love this rebrand at the time.
Yeah.
And I had a hat. I don't really wear hats anymore because my hair is so long. I had one that was like one of my go-to hats. It was this nice black bill, like gray, but with that crest, like right.
Oh yeah. No, that. So once again, Real Salt Lake, number 1, not in the standings almost ever, but Real Salt Lake, number 1 in my heart. Okay. But that Crew rebrand, that circle logo, I saw that and I was like,
Sexy.
holy fuck, that might be the best crest in the fucking league.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then when they redid it with this new one, I was like, why? I get you're trying to get away from the old owner, but you had perfection. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, there's been a lot
Yeah.
coming out of that club that I've
Yeah.
been. But also, talking about Salt Lake, shout out to Salt Lake City, where I chipped my tooth. And to, I think it's pronounced Devanza's in Park City, Utah. It's a pizza place.
Yeah.
Really liked it. It's like right off the slope. Still think about that pizza because it was real good. And whenever I think about Salt Lake, I think about my chipped canine.
Honestly, there's some really good fucking pizza in Utah. In Salt Lake specifically. The Pie Pizzeria, I will put up against just about anything. Yeah. I don't think they have anything in Park City though. So yeah, as we're wrapping up here, winding down, I just have the Kickstarter page up here, and we'll have the link to the Kickstarter in the description, obviously. Go help Asa realize the dream of getting BattleVersus created. Because I want to see this thing. I have to get to donate. I haven't yet. Money. But yeah, go to the Kickstarter, donate. Let's get this thing made, and let's fucking get BattleVersus. Because once this is made, then we can start getting, as we all know, what we want with the vampire faction.
Yeah.
Twilight. Come on. We all know it. We all know it. All right. Maybe there's one werewolf in the mix. So then you can be Team Jacob or Team Edward. You know what? 2 factions.
I have a werewolf faction.
And I know what they're called.
Didn't
now.
put anything from. They're just called lichens right now.
Okay. Well,
I
when
pulled more from Underworld.
So when after this gets funded, and then when you're announcing the werewolf faction, the music for the video announcing the faction will be Lycanthrope by Plus 44. It's a song. It's a great song. There we go.
Never thought of that.
200% royalties.
250.
250.
At this point, it might be 1,000.
Yeah. No, but
And
Asa,
I'm just getting this ready to send to you.
Ooh. Should I keep it up?
The community suggestion link. No.
Okay. Yeah, that will also be in the description. Yes.
Yeah, that way you have it.
Yep, that will be in the description as well. The Kickstarter, the community suggestions is going to be in there. And yeah, this thing just sounds super fucking cool. And now the more that I actually know about it, because I was already like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty cool. But now kind of hearing more and more about it from you, and to be honest, hearing your passion behind it, it is incredible, and it's infectious. As
well, thank you.
Yeah, I know COVID was weird, but it's infectious in a good way. It's like when you see somebody laughing, you're like, I'm gonna laugh, but then they yawn. You're like, I'm gonna yawn, but now I love naps. Yeah. Go to the Kickstarter, get this funded. Asa, as we get out of here, tell people where we can find you, what we can look up, other than the Kickstarter, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on just about any social media platform if you search A GreenRiver. I'm while you can find me, I'm not actively on all of them because fuck the oligarchy. I'm primarily on Blue Sky and TikTok, so you can find me there. And I'm really, and I don't mean this in like this pompous way, but I'm such a busy person that I've been super shitty about talking about how like you're like, oh wow, now that I'm like learning about the game, I really should be putting more of this information out there. So thank you so much for having me on here to do this, because I'm just so busy. I just don't have time like I need to really put this info out there. So yeah, you can find me on those social platforms. Blue Sky is like the best way to just connect with me for like, it's like videos if I put them out there, because I do sometimes when I can, especially like when it comes to the game. TikTok is like a great place to go. And then announcing for the first time, Origins Game Fest is this weekend in Columbus, Ohio. It's like one of the biggest tabletop, next to PAX Unplugged. Actually, it might be bigger than PAX Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
Tabletop convention that's happening this weekend actually starts tomorrow and goes through Sunday. Unfortunately, I'm no longer going to be there the entire week because of things, but I am still going to be there on Sunday, and the game will be there to play, and it'll be available for 4 hours of playtime. So I'm going to be posting that out there later, but I wanted to say that here as well. So obviously this might go up after the fact, but let that be like there are opportunities to play this because it's also going to be at PAX West, which is in August, September, and then it will also be at GDEX, which is in October, and then hopefully it'll be at PAX Unplugged, which is in December in Philly. So
Fuck yeah. This goes up on Thursday, June 19th.
Oh.
Happy Juneteenth.
Okay.
We kind of talked about this off air. I wasn't entirely sure how I was supposed to broach the topic of Juneteenth. It's an incredible holiday, but I look like the bad guys from that holiday. So, happy Juneteenth. Incredible holiday. I hadn't heard about it until like 4 or 5 years ago. It was never taught in Utah schools, believe it or not. But yeah, deservedly a national holiday now. So this will go up there. I'm gonna clip this out. Not me talking about Juneteenth. But for this weekend for you, I'll try to clip that out. I can get that sent over to you. You can post it on the TikToks and everything to try to help. But yeah, we are Storymoders. Asa, thank you so much. This has been incredible for us to kind of get this sneak peek into your game, what you're working on. Thank you so much for the exclusives. Now that we're talking about the Twilight vampires and the chipmunks. Fucking chipmunks. God. But yeah, we will have you back on if you want to come on. I'm not forcing you to do anything. Yeah, but have you back on to talk about the game, after the Kickstarter is done, when you're kind of launching new things and everything for it, because this is going to be fucking awesome. All right.
Hell yeah. And I will be on whenever you need me.
Awesome, dude. Hey, thank you all so much. We will see you next week here at Storymoders. I hope Mike will be back. I think he's going to have a car by then, or at least his car will be fixed. I don't know. I'm not a car guy. I said I was a car guy earlier. I lied. I'm a liar. You know what I mean? Sorry about that.
You can't trust anything.
No, I turn the key, it turns on, and then I'm good. If it doesn't turn on, I call my dad. He was the car guy. He was a mechanic. Okay? I'm just saying. All right. Bye.